Ian, if there's one thing we love on the CU podcast, we've spoke about the last 4 years or so, is graded video games.
Yeah.
We love graded video games and Wata Games.
We're big on them.
We're on their payroll.
We're bullish on them.
We're bullish on the graded sealed video game market.
Yeah.
We're very bullish. Get in early. So CGC, the competitor now to Wata Games, has popped up. I mean, they've been grading comics and other stuff for decades. They're like they're
like the name in grading.
For
better comics. Or for worse. They're kind of like the name brand grading service. If they offer grading for something you have, you generally go to CGC. And I'm not saying it's better or worse or whatever, but that's just kind of how it is. They've been around for so long.
Yeah, they do cards and comics. I'm not sure they do toys or not. But cards and comics are enough to keep you swimming in cash. Mm-hmm. So CGC is coming directly for Wata Games in this latest marketing campaign. I'm kind of proud of their capitalistic instincts here. I kind of like it. CGC Video Games offers limited time crossover special. Ready to break up with your current third-party video game grading service? CGC Video Games is here to console you. Get it? Console. You like that? This was on the 14th. For a limited time, you're going to get a special deal on your standard grading. If I send in, for example, the one that Dennis Kahn gave me, which wasn't even sealed, which is kind of weird because I actually own it sealed, the top secret episode. If I wanted to get that graded, I could. Why? Or the one I bought by accident, the sealed, I got to hit it one more time.
Sealed!
The Atari 2600 Winter Games. So if I did this, Ian, it would only cost me $30.
All right.
I guess plus shipping, which I guess
isn't there a percentage of its market value that you have to pay to?
Walkthrough crossover. I guess that's the higher end. That's for games that are worth $2,500 or more with a fair market value. So if it's $2,500 or more, it's $100 plus 1.5%. I guess they do that with comics too. They take the percentage,
right? And
that can be a lot of money. $10,000 game. That's Pat Math. That's $150 plus $250.
Right.
And it's the same grading. What's so funny about that, they try to say it's for insurance. I can see it's a $1 million comic. You don't want someone sneezing on it.
Right.
So what's funny, though, Ian, is that the fine print says...
It's only for Wata Games.
Not for VGA games.
Not for VGA games. It's only for Wata Games. So it is a very, very targeted move.
I kind of like it. It's
I don't really love anything about grading, so I can't say I love it, but I do think it's amusing.
I like that.
I think it's funny.
I think they're coming directly for them. That's what's great about this. Oh, I forgot to talk about the email. I got to add that to here. So all I want to say is this. They also put out a press release, noting how much more their games were going for auction recently.
Right.
Than Wata's were. And I wonder if that's because, Wata's in a little bit of trouble right now with things going on, controversies, class action lawsuit we'll give you an update on. I wonder if now with CGC, obviously, they just didn't get started 5 years ago. They've been around for decades. There's an inherent trust built in more with that.
Yeah, they got into it quick enough that it, in the grand scheme of things, over the course of decades, I think it's pretty easy if they wanted to get in there and basically nudge Wata out.
So the thing about the CGC doing the regrades,
it will screw up the population reports. Because it's not, there's no automatic way for something to be removed from a population report. So the game that was graded by Wata, if it gets transitioned over to CGC, there'll be an extra pop in the CGC column or a pop that doesn't count in the Wata column. Yeah,
it's gonna screw things up. That's the only thing about it. Unless I guess after the promotion's over, CGC can be asshole and say, "Hey Wata, here's the 900 games that we regraded, and here's the list that you can delete them from your database." Maybe they'll do that as a courtesy. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's like twisting the knife, though. But it's proper to do that. And then there was this Antiques Roadshow segment that came up. Antiques Roadshow is an interesting show because it was the first sort of show I knew in the early 2000s when it came, early to mid 2000s, where let's look at your old crap and see what it's worth that you have laying around.
Yeah, I used to enjoy it when I was younger, but honestly, the older I got and the more I learned about the value of certain things, I realized it's just kind of whatever.
So this little girl shows up on this show. She's probably like 10 years old and says, this is what makes us feel old. Hey, my dad had a bunch of Nintendo games as a kid and a couple were sealed.
Yeah.
All right. Comes on the show, and the expert here is a pop culture expert. And I looked into him a little bit, and the pop culture is everything. So he's not a video game expert, but he's looking at video games as pop culture. And this is where this gets weird and sticky. I don't want to take shots at this guy, but you really got to be careful who's doing these sort of...
Especially when you're talking to a kid.
Yes. And that's what I'll get into. There's some misinformation in here, and there's bad valuations, and this is a child. That's what bothers me the most.
Yeah, shoot low when you do these things. Yeah. Like...
So there. Okay. So she says, I'm looking at the captions. They were lying really a long time in my grandma's attic. Oh, so the mother of the kid that had him. I didn't have any games that weren't given to me laying around. That'd be great. You hear about these. Oh, my Kid Icarus sealed in the closet. Was never given to someone. Man, it must be good to be upper class, I guess. Everything that was bought for me was given to me.
Yeah, no shit.
Nothing was forgotten. No gifts were forgotten about with me. I'm just saying. That's how the other half lives, Ian, I guess. So she guesses it's an idiot's video game system. That's cute because we're ancient now. It's a later release of Super Mario 3 with the right bros, not the left bros, and the original Double Dragon. So when you first see these,
the Double Dragon's a mess.
The Super Mario 3 isn't that great either. The seal's coming off the side. It's dinged in the bottom left. These are copies that were not. We'll just put in a safe place and not touched. These were handled.
Yeah, these got moved around.
These are not high quality pieces. Yeah, we look at the close up.
Okay, yeah, the Mario 3 isn't real great either.
No, they're not close to 9s or even 8s. They're down there.
I mean, the Double Dragon is straight up squashed.
It's like a 5.
You can
5,
see where it bows out on the end.
You want to say like a 5? It's like average condition.
Yeah.
Super Mario 3, gun to my head, 6 or a 7 at most. So it talks about the collectible. This is the expert. And their nice multicolored leopard shirt, which I'm kind of jealous of to pull that off. There's a tiger on the front of it. He says the collectible video game market really exploded 2019 to 20. I wonder why. Can you tell a 10-year-old what was going on there, maybe? That would be interesting. If maybe point her to Carl Job's video or some of our coverage. It wasn't this innocent, we discovered video games were collectible. How about the story?
We discovered how to make video games differently collectible.
Can you tell this nice girl about the story of the dentist and his LLC and his investor friends?
I don't think the girl cares.
But that's the point. You're telling a 10-year-old and the PBS audience doesn't know any better. Wow, this is amazing. I should look into this. The video game market exploded in 2020. We've seen some very big, very volatile numbers. You think they've been volatile because there's been a huge crash the past year plus in this? Volatiles for sure. The market's a little unsteady. I give him credit for saying that. So anyway, so here's the point. The valuations on these two games are irresponsible and insane due to the condition of these. The fact of the matter...
Yeah, that's my problem. He doesn't have to know everything, but if you're going to make these valuations, at least know enough to not overshoot the valuations by like $1,000.
Or more.
More.
So... Here's the thing. So she guessed she's innocent. They're worth $100, which is funny because complete in box, that's what they're probably worth. Mm-hmm. So it's like, in theory, she's right. Why should the seal add that much value to it? So it's almost like, oh, she kind of knows, hey, these aren't worth that much.
She gets it.
You said conservatively at auction today, the Super Mario Bros. 3 would be $1,000 to $2,000. Yeah. And then the Double Dragon said... This was even more insane because the Double Dragon is beat to hell.
Yeah.
Easily a $2,000 to $3,000 game.
It is absolutely not.
When you go on heritage auctions and look at these prices, you cannot find many that are in this bad grade because all the high price ones are 9.0s or greater.
Right.
On these.
It's hard to find bad grades being auctioned off because people know they're not worth anything.
So the only ones I found I put down here that were comparable, there was a 6.0 Right Bros sold for $492, $500 in October. And a 6.5 Double Dragon, which that's worse than, sold for $780 July 2020.
Yeah.
When this stuff was blowing up. So that means that's worth even less to me now. So my generous appraisal was $1,500. I think this is $1,000 to be lucky. It's not $3,000 to $5,000. And what really bothered me the most is when he mentioned that one of these Super Mario 3s went for $150,000 years ago. Because I guarantee you, it ain't going for that now.
No, absolutely not.
Fucking plunged into the ocean.
And we've brought up more examples of this in the past, but a great one is that we looked at a Star Voyager, and
yes.
we remembered talking about this because it was so weird, because it was a Star Voyager. I mean, I guess sort of uncommon, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it is, but like borderline.
But it's not rare. It's not a memorable game. It's not a legacy game.
No, it went for $10,200 in July 2020, a 9.4. $10,200.
Star Voyager.
2 years ago, $10,200. Now, 2 years later, Star Voyager, a 9.6. A better grade, 186 whopping dollars.
You want to say it's a later production? I don't care. It's a better grade. And they didn't make a lot of Star Voyagers. It wasn't a game in abundance.
Right.
Which really shows you, talk about volatility. That person that spent $10,000 was lottery tickets, scratch off lottery tickets.
Let's be nice and just say maybe it's worth $5,000 the later print. It's not, but you still lost $5,000.
I'll be nice.
You lost $10,000.
I'll be nice and say $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah,
it might be $1,000. The point is this: when you have these shows like this, or you have Pawn Stars happen, you really have to be fucking careful about what you say.
Yeah. It sends people into panics.
It makes them think they have gold. This little girl thinks she can start her college fund when she can't.
Right.
She's not getting $5,000 for those games. That's what really set me off. Probably you too, like the fact that it's a young girl where it's like,
well, yeah, I think a lot of adults are ready to hear some sort of bullshitting, but kids, I think adults are ready to hear bullshitting when they go on something like Antiques Roadshow. A kid's going to take it more to heart.
And he didn't mention that to get the maximum value, you have to get these slabbed.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're not worth that at all in their current unslabbed condition.
He would have to have said to the little girl, all right, you got to spend money now to get them slabbed. Then you got to go in heritage auctions, and they're going to take a chunk of your money on top of the buyer's fee. They take a seller's fee on most of this stuff. So it's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. And I'm going to say this about this stuff in general about collectibles. They do updates to this. Where they go back and go to like older episodes, 10, 15 years ago. You ever see these? I think I brought this up to you months ago. Have you ever seen any of these?
Well, I've seen them do updates. I don't know if I'm talking about this specific one.
For Roadshow, though. Yes. Sure. This is a new episode. But I mean, they'll go back to a show from 2008, like pre-HD, 2009. Furniture, vases, silverware, other stuff on the show. Everything but artwork has gone down in price that they come back to.
I believe it.
Everything. All the markets. And that doesn't account for inflation. Everything that I saw in one of the episodes, maybe there was a rare exception, except for art. For some, art, one-of-a-kind pieces that, like, they're one of a kind for the most part, except for, like, litho prints or whatever, like, that are limited to, like, 25 or 50. Nothing maintains their value in the long run when it comes to this stuff. Historical items and art, the things that are truly unique to a time and place that are not mass produced, and coins, somewhat, even though that they'll never reach the height again that they used to in the 80s. That's kind of historical. Everything eventually diminishes unless it's truly historical in my mind, or it's like artwork. Like, it's very pop culture collectibles. It's tough. It's tough.
I mean, we've beaten it into the ground, and we might as well beat it into the ground one last time. Collectibles of most kinds have a lifespan, and they're the lifespan of the people that are interested in them. We talk about it with Elvis. We talk about it with toy soldiers. We've talked about it with model trains, and it'll happen with certain eras of video games too. I mean, these things are not... The things that are worth something are never, for the most part, are not going to be worth something forever unless it's, like you said, something that is truly irreplaceable, art, historical.
Yes, and comic books sort of combines things, so it's like, it's historical, older comics.
It's also been around
culture
for a long time and has had time to kind of regulate itself and even itself out.
And it's not tied to a generation. like antique furniture, like furniture from the 1800s. I don't care about that stuff.
Well, I guess that was my point with
Yeah.
like, I love model trains, but like model trains and Elvis and stuff, it's tied to that generation. And that's what I mean.
That's it.
It's so much of this, not all of it, but so many collectible things are tied to the generation or the people who grew up with them, and they're not going to go anywhere. So like, if you're 75 and you've got video games that are, I don't know why you'd be if you were, get rid of that stuff before it's not appealing to the next generation.
Or be like Nintendo Dan and get rid of it and retire.
Yeah.
Sell some
I
off
was
the
thinking
pad.
about him the other day because I got a bag of lemon drops.
Was he a lemon drop guy?
He used to carry hard candy around, and it was the same brand that he carried. So I was thinking about him. And I was just thinking, I was like, I hope he's doing all right hanging out with his grandson. That's all he wanted to do was retire and hang out with his grandkid.
Yeah, I might have turned the faucet of selling when I went over there a couple of times and bought some stuff, because then he started. Well, the next time I saw
him and I talked, and he agreed with me. I said that getting rid of a collection seems scary, but if you can make yourself sell off a chunk of it, it's amazing how quickly the rest of it goes away.
That's the thing with me. Like I say, I want to sell off. Like
once you
half.
Start, you will not stop.
I wonder once I get to half if I'm going to sell 3/4.
Once you get to
80%.
half, you're going to go, well, if it's like me, you're going to get to half and you're like, well, what are the rules I'm putting in place for what I'm keeping and what I'm getting rid of? And then I literally was like, okay, I'm just going to keep these 35 games I had growing up. And I got rid of everything else Nintendo was.
So you're saying there's a chance once I sell the half, I'll sell my NES collection? You're saying there's a small chance?
I think you'll keep your collection. I think you'll keep your complete cart collection. But all your other stuff, once you start selling it, it's going to feel really good to sell it, and you're just going to get rid of it all.
I think
you are.
With confidence, I can say the 3 8-bit systems that I have complete, I will keep those all, because the Master System don't take off a lot of shelf space, and that includes some of the European ones. That's like 3 shelves, and the TurboGrafx games are tiny. So that's like, if I have to move, that takes up 1 crate. Like that's it. Both of them combined almost. The NES stuff is a lot more, and that doesn't count on my box games in the garage.
Well, I think you'll get rid of most of your box stuff.
That's going to happen.
I actually think that's going to be the one where you start sliding and you realize I have this loose. I don't fucking need this boxed, and you're going to get rid of it.
Except for stuff I love, like Super Dodgeball. I'm like, I love Super Dodgeball.
You'll make a couple.
But I don't need Skull and Crossbones in the box. Oh, I did an NES Punk video of that.
You sure shit don't need Skull and Crossbones.
You've seen that video?
I have.
You saw Yellowtooth the Bold?
Yellowtooth the Bold. I was going to say Buttertooth the Gold, but I was close.
That's actually funnier. I wish I was friends with you back then. I wish I knew you in Jersey back in 2009 when I did that video. And then finally, we have another update.
Also tonight, an update.
To the Wata class action lawsuit from the lead attorney. Very nice person. Gives me the update every few months. So they're waiting to hear back on the motion to dismiss. I don't think they're going to dismiss this lawsuit. I'm not an expert at this stuff, but I think they're ducks in a row here. It's taking a very long time, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm not trying to blah, blah you, Janine. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. I'm trying to get through this topic quickly. The next step, other than the ruling on the pleadings of whether or not to dismiss it, is the continuation of discovery. Ultimately, I'm not giving away trade secrets here. They know it's coming. This will lead to the deposition of Dennis Kahn and other individuals involved in the case. From the plaintiff's side of things, we obviously want to depose Dennis Kahn first, and his testimony will likely inform the order of subsequent discovery. Once he gets on the record, his relationships, then you're going to drag those people in and put them in front of a video camera, like I know from the Suits episodes where depositions happen. This deposition will likely be set in the next 2 months and will likely occur within 3 months. So, Wata has other arguments coming for. They're claiming that video game collectors who use grading services should not. If you get games graded by Wata, this should scare you, what I'm about to say. Wata is claiming that video game collectors who use grading services should not get protection as consumers, since they are all resellers. Obviously not accurate, as we are not all resellers, but Wata is relying on an unpublished California decision that she linked to me. That should scare the fuck out of you. That's what Wata and the holding company really thinks about you. You don't deserve consumer protections when push comes to shove. They claim that Collectors Universe, the umbrella parent company, is not responsible for the harm caused to customers, as the company is only the holding company for Wata. And Wata continued to operate independently after the sale, but they moved operations to a different state after the sale.
Right.
So that doesn't hold water there. And they failed to register as a foreign corporation doing business in California. So that's any judge or jury would be like, that's ridiculous. This is another good one. They're going to claim that harm caused by market fluctuation are too speculative to allow for discovery. What? Like you can't do discovery on people that formed the company and the relationships they had? I would think any reasonable judge is going to allow this to go forward. I'm not saying they're going to rule in the favor of the plaintiffs. I think this is going to go forward. That's my non-legal opinion. I think there's enough to get going with this. That's all. You think so, Ian?
I think it'll probably go forward. Yes.
Okay.